HTS Property and Environment Limited Best Value Review, which you will find on page 23 to 60 of your pack. I'm going to move that, propose that.
And I formally second that, Chair.
Okay, I would like to say a couple of words on this report. It's the result of a wide-ranging and thorough review involving a wide range of council staff, employees of HTS, key stakeholders, the service improvement team, housing standards groups and housing standards boards, and the shareholders subcommittee. And I think it's an excellent piece of work, and I've noticed that where some of these groups have contributed, that's been reflected in the report. It's consisted of 15 work streams followed by, and has followed National Audit Office criteria to make assessment of the value for money we're getting from our relationship with HTS. This was no light touch review. It wasn't a formality of a review, but the results are extremely gratifying. The review found that the Council has effectively set up a well-funded local authority trading company and has successfully disaggregated its operations from the previous private sector provider. The review noted that the KPI performance has been good. The review noted that HTS has a strong cash position, and this reflects robust management of assets and liabilities. The existing payment mechanism is an economic method of contract payment. There have been no issues highlighted during the review to suggest the current arrangements do not represent financial best value. Innovation, especially CSR, has been good. Levels of satisfaction by the public generally are good across the board. Governance, arrangements and adherence with contractual arrangements have been found to be sound and tested by internal audit. And evidence of workforce planning by HTS and a successful apprenticeship scheme work on social inclusion and improvement in the gender pay gap has also been noted. This is an excellent report which remarks very highly on the success of this company. And
yeah.
So, any questions?
There's no doubt that, as you said in your statement earlier, that things are going well, and I have become more of a convert as time has gone on to this model, and I think you'll know from comments I've made both in previous cabinets and at SSC that I do believe things are starting to work with this. I still maintain, and as Councillor Charles has said on many occasions at both Cabinet, Council and SSC, that there has been a real lack of strategic thinking from the start on the organisation of this contract. And even pulling things out tonight, there are 47 recommendations, I think I counted, on these pages, of things that really are things that should have been done at the introduction of a new contract, should have been tidied up anyway in the current contract. There's things like KPIs that haven't been used, as we've discussed tonight. There's things like we lifted stuff from a previous contract that wasn't the same sort of contract to use for the inflationary rate. And I think I'm just still concerned that a number of the recommendations in this report reflect the fact that the Council didn't have a long-term strategic direction for this body. Now, it doesn't mean it's not successful, and it doesn't mean it can't be recovered. And I've got to say, I pay tribute to the work that the officers have done in starting to make this work. I still detect, I wasn't at the last SSC, but the one before that, I still detect a disparate nature of negotiation between the company itself and the way the Council views things, and I think some of those things play through into the recommendations of this report. My other concern, Chair, is that there's a lot of these things that need sorting and need sorting quickly. So, for example, when cost apportionment, some of the reviews that need to happen. And if we're going to push forward to a new financial year and a new contract, I think we could have sorted, I'm using the wider we as a council, could have sorted a number of these items out earlier. And I think I do worry about timescales moving forward, and that's why I asked the questions about if we will be able to hit the timescales and if they are realistic in this report. I hope it works, because think we're now that invested as a council in this organisation, this body, that we can't really have it fail. Councillor Carter's raised a number of very detailed questions with me, which I don't think it's right to put them in this forum tonight. But I will raise those privately with the officers. I know Councillor Carter would have liked to have said an awful lot, but obviously himself would have been barred from the meeting tonight about this item. And I know Councillor Charles has always had a huge interest, but because of the ongoing general election, he's not currently in the town. I can't make his apologies because we're not formal members of this committee. The Conservative Group remains committed to supporting the council with this process and with this company. We still have ongoing concerns about the strategic direction and the key strategic decisions that are required, which I think paragraph 5.1 on page 12 talks about the key strategic decisions regarding third-party works, requiring volumes, and I think the council just needs to get on with taking some of those decisions and taking a clear lead with this company. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Byrne.
Well, first of all, I'd say it's quite ridiculous to talk about this organisation failing. It's not going to fail. So that we obviously need to make sure it continues to improve. And some of the aspects that have been brought out by this best value review, which is why we've conducted it, relate back to things that we inherited from the previous contract. So I think that, you know, the review, as you said in your opening remarks, is all positive in that even things that have been revealed that have got to be changed, it's useful that they've been revealed. As far as third-party works is concerned, which, as the councillors said, it's something that's often brought up as if that is one of the main purposes of HTS, which it isn't. The main purpose of HTS is to serve this town and to serve the residents of this town with the things that we want it to do. Obviously, third-party work, if it is able to generate additional income, which comes back to the council by the various financial mechanisms that exist, then that's great. But that isn't the main purpose of HTS. The main purpose is to do the work that we wanted to do on behalf of our residents. So I think we need, you know, to bear that in mind. And the last point I'd make, having had the necessity to study the legal arrangements with HTS, is that we must always remember that this is an independent company. It's not part of the council. We can review its performance, as we've done, through special investigations. We can comment regularly, as we do, through the shareholder subcommittee. But we cannot micromanage the company, and in fact it'd be illegal for us to do so. It's written into the financial rules of this company that it's not to take direction from the council in any direct sense. So again, we need to be cognisant of the subtlety of the arrangements between the council and HTS.
Thank you, Councillor Byrne. Councillor Wilkinson.
Thank you, Chair. I really welcome this report and review, and I think we have to remind ourselves why we're having a review. And it's important to have a review because you look back at something we've set up. Is it the right thing to carry on? Is it, you know, are we doing things right? Are we doing things wrong? And it's quite clear that this is a major success story. Has been, and I just love having debates about HTS, and I welcome the fact that now Councillor Johnson is coming over to the fact about HTS is the right thing to do, because I just love reminding people that their group didn't want to do it in the first place. It was an ill-thought idea, they called the decision in, etc, etc. They wanted to stay with Kia. Given the mess that Kia is at a national level at the moment, I think in hindsight, what a fantastic idea we had. But getting back to this review, I think, as the Chair said in his opening remarks, we have never seen, certainly from a housing perspective, and I meet monthly with HTS to discuss KPIs, to discuss performance, regular monitoring. As Councillor Purton said, they're not part of the council, it's an arm's length organisation to which report into us. And satisfaction levels have never been so high as far as council tenants are concerned. We've only last week introduced the texting service, which is a massive move forward with reporting repairs for tenants. We're getting more, we've never had so much investment in the workforce that we have. We've never had so much investment in the vehicles, the tools that they use, etc., etc. It's a massive success story. And yes, a review does come up with some items that you need to have a further look at. But I think it's almost like there's a small piece of crumb somewhere that people can latch onto, and that's what they latch onto. The massive story is for this town, and the success story that it brings us, not only with delivery, but also financial. We've never had no financial delivery come back from Kiers. We just paid money out to shareholders. We now have a situation where money's being poured back into this town. And yes, third-party work does need to develop further, but there has been some significant movement in that area now. You now see people walking around this building with HTS shirts on with a third-party delivery. That is a step in the right direction, and I want it as well. I agree with Councillor Johnson. I want that to develop further. We're only 3 years in. It's been a massive success story. Something I'm really proud of. I think that the administration and the council should be really proud of. So I welcome this review. I welcome its recommendations. I thank the officers that have been involved. It's a colossal piece of work, this review. I don't think there was a stone left unturned during this review. I certainly played a part in interviews and all the rest of it, giving my views on various situations. And I just think it shows to the people of this town that we're serious about HTS, but we will make sure they carry on delivering, and we will make sure it's a success story. Thank you, Chair.
As a backbencher, may I too welcome this review. It seems to me to be a very honest review. It's a law review. And yes, it's picked up a couple of areas which there still needs to be done some more work on that. However, I am more than satisfied from the work that has been done so far. I'm more than satisfied that those issues that are raised in this report, where there are identified issues that need to be addressed, will be addressed. So congratulate me. It has been a massive task taking an organisation the size of Kier, the Kier Commission, back in effectively to be a in-house company, for want of a better word, and to do that in a way which has been very little disruption. And in terms of the satisfaction around the town, you've only got to speak to people about the town, about how the town's looking and the services they get, and you're getting positive responses. So I would argue that all reviews are iterative processes. If they're good reviews, like this review is, they will by definition pick out the areas of success, but they will also pick out the areas of further work. So to all of those who were involved in this review, as backbencher, I would have just like to pass on my thanks, and well done on a good piece of work.
Thank you, Councillor Edwards. So to sum up, I too appreciate Councillor Johnson's conversion to supporting HTS. And let's note it is a conversion. And whilst this review is honest, it does identify a number of areas where more work is required, and everything that it clearly has delved deeply. But let's look at the big picture for one moment. This is a company that we set up from scratch to undertake a huge piece of work. And yes, we lifted and shifted, I think the phrase was that Mr. Freeman used, some of the KPIs and some of the contractual arrangements. But this is a company that has improved customer satisfaction across the town. This is a company that has returned £1.7 million to this council. And this is a company that wouldn't exist if the Tories had had their way and stopped us from doing it. And so all of those lifted and shifted arrangements that the Tories have been complaining tonight would almost certainly exist because we'd still have that contract with Kier. This review is a complete vindication of this Labour Council's bold decision to set up HTS, a decision bitterly opposed by the Tories opposite, who fought it every single step of the way. It's a vindication of Labour's desire to bring services back under council ownership. It's a rejection of the Tories' failed dogma of private sector good and public sector bad. And it's delivered great services, great value for money for this town, and I for one am delighted that the senior management board of this council have recommended the full 5-year extension from 2022 to 2027. HTS is a success and we should be shouting it from the hilltops. Thank you. All those in favour of accepting recommendations A, B, C and D? Thank you.